Visualize your space. Observe every corner, every surface. How much of what you see truly matters? When clutter surrounds us, our minds become overwhelmed too. This is the starting point for a transformation inspired by the Japanese lifestyle, where every object has a purpose, every space breathes, and tranquility becomes a constant presence. Japanese environments aren't just organized by chance. There's an entire philosophy behind this approach that values the essential and eliminates the superfluous. When we observe these spaces, we realize they convey an immediate sense of calm. This happens because simplicity allows us to focus on what truly matters. Think of traditional Japanese homes. The spaces are open, the furniture is low, and there are few decorative objects. Each element has a purpose and a reason for being there. This care for what enters the home creates an environment that naturally calms our minds. When we don't have to visually process hundreds of objects, our brains rest. Starting this transformation may seem challenging, especially if you live in an environment filled with things accumulated over the years. But this journey doesn't have to be radical or immediate. We can start with small steps, one room at a time, one surface at a time. The first step is to observe your current space with attentive eyes. Which areas cause you anxiety when you look at them? Usually they are the ones with the greatest accumulation of objects, papers, or unused items. Identify these points of tension in your home and start there. An effective approach is to completely empty an area. It could be a drawer, a shelf, or even an entire room depending on your time and willingness. Then evaluate each item individually. Ask simple questions. Have I used this in the last year? Does this bring me joy? If I lost this, would I miss it? If the answer is no to all these questions, maybe it's time to say goodbye. Often we keep things for emotional reasons, gifts from loved ones, memories of special moments, objects that represent who we once were. It's important to recognize this attachment and consciously decide what is truly worth keeping. Not everything that has sentimental value needs to occupy physical space in your life. When we start to free up space, something interesting happens. We feel a lightness that goes beyond the physical. Studies show how organized and minimalist environments reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone. When we enter a clean and organized space, our breathing naturally calms and our mind becomes clearer. Another important aspect of organization, inspired by the Japanese style, is functionality. Each object should be in a place that makes sense, making it easier to use in everyday life. Think about how you move around the house and organize items according to that routine. Things you use daily should be easily accessible, while seasonal items can be stored in less accessible locations. In the kitchen, for example, organize the utensils you use every day in easily accessible drawers and shelves. Appliances that are rarely used can be stored in higher cabinets or even in another room. This functional organization saves time and energy in your day-to-day life. The Japanese also greatly value the maintenance of spaces. Regular cleaning isn't seen as a chore, but as a ritual of caring for the environment and, by extension, oneself. When we have fewer objects, cleaning becomes simpler and faster. This creates a positive cycle. Fewer things lead to easier cleaning, which in turn encourages us to keep fewer things. A fundamental element in this approach is patience. Transforming your home won't happen overnight, and that's okay. The important thing is to take consistent steps in the direction of simplicity. Celebrate every small victory: an organized drawer, a surface free of unnecessary objects, an established cleaning routine. As you progress on this journey, you'll begin to develop a more critical eye for consumption. Before bringing something new home, you'll naturally ask yourself, does this really have a purpose? Does this deserve to occupy space in my life? This awareness is perhaps the greatest gift of the minimalist approach inspired by the Japanese style. Let's talk about colors and materials. Traditional Japanese environments favor neutral colors and natural materials. This doesn't mean your house needs to be completely white or beige, but rather that a softer and more coherent color palette contributes to the feeling of calm. Wood, bamboo, paper, cotton, and linen are common materials that bring texture and warmth without adding visual noise. Natural light also plays a crucial role in this aesthetic. Windows without heavy curtains, or with light curtains that gently filter the light, create a welcoming environment connected to the outside. If possible, rearrange your furniture to make the most of the natural light available in your home. An interesting concept to consider is which we can understand as intentional empty space. There's no need to fill every inch of wall or surface. Empty space has its own value. It allows the eyes and mind to rest, creates balance, and highlights what really matters. A wall with just one artwork has much more impact than a wall covered in pictures. In the bedroom, this approach has particularly noticeable benefits. A resting space free of visual and physical distractions promotes better sleep. Consider reducing furniture to the essentials, a comfortable bed, perhaps a simple nightstand, and a place to store clothes. Remove electronics, work papers, and other items that might distract your mind at bedtime. The living room, being a social space, can be a bigger challenge. We often accumulate books, magazines, travel souvenirs, and various decorative objects in this environment. One approach is to create clear, functional zones, a space for conversation, perhaps a reading corner, an area for casual meals. Then, organize only the objects necessary for each activity, storing the rest. Speaking of storing, smart storage is a pillar of Japanese organization. Boxes and baskets of uniform sizes, clearly labeled, help keep small items organized. Furniture with internal compartments allows you to store objects out of sight, keeping surfaces clear. Vertical solutions make better use of available space without creating a feeling of tightness. The bathroom is another space that benefits tremendously from this approach. Remove products you don't use regularly and organize the essentials into small functional groups. A practical tip is to transfer products from colorful and visually noisy packaging to simple and uniform containers. This creates a more cohesive and tranquil aesthetic. As you simplify your physical spaces, you may notice changes in other aspects of your life. Many people report that they begin to apply the same principles to their schedule, relationships, and even eating habits. Simplicity has a ripple effect. When we experience its benefits in one area, we naturally want to extend them to others. Routines are also an important part of the Japanese approach to spaces. A simple daily maintenance routine prevents the accumulation of clutter. This can include small actions like putting objects away after use, cleaning surfaces after meals, and dedicating a few minutes at the end of the day to put everything in its place. Something we rarely discuss when talking about organization is the environmental impact of excessive consumption. When we adopt a more minimalist approach, we naturally buy less, generate less waste, and value what we have more. This creates a virtuous cycle of conscious consumption that benefits not only our home and mind, but also the planet. If you have children or share the house with other people, involving them in this process is essential. Explain the benefits of simplicity in an accessible way tailored to each age. Children, surprisingly, often adapt well to more organized environments, especially when they have clarity about where to find and store their belongings. An effective technique for shared spaces is to define common areas that should remain free of personal objects. This creates zones of visual tranquility that benefit all residents. Each person can have their personal space where they have more freedom to organize things in their own way. The digital also deserves attention on this journey. Our electronic devices often accumulate as much clutter as our homes. Unread emails, disorganized files, unused apps. Dedicate time to organizing your digital life, applying the same principles of utility and joy that you use for physical objects. As we move forward on this transformation, it's important to remember that perfection is not the goal. Real spaces inhabited by real people will never be perfectly organized all the time, and they shouldn't be. The important thing is to create an environment that supports your well-being and facilitates the flow of your daily life. Some areas of the house are particularly prone to accumulation. The entrance, where we arrive with groceries and mail, the kitchen, where we prepare food and socialize, and work or study areas. Creating simple systems for these problem zones can make a big difference in the overall level of organization in the house. At the entrance, for example, a small bench with space for shoes underneath, hooks for coats and bags, and a small tray for keys and mail can prevent these items from spreading throughout the house. In the kitchen, keeping only the essential utensils on hand and creating zones for different activities, preparation, cooking, cleaning, makes the space more functional. A transformative practice is the daily reset, a few minutes before bed, dedicated to returning everything to its designated place. This prevents the gradual accumulation of clutter and allows you to wake up to an organized space, starting the day with mental clarity. Something less discussed but equally important is the quality of the objects we choose to keep. The Japanese approach values craftsmanship, durability, and functional beauty. When we have fewer things, we can invest in better quality items that will last longer and bring us more satisfaction. This applies to everything from kitchen utensils to furniture and clothing. Speaking of clothes, the wardrobe is often one of the biggest challenges on the journey to simplicity. We experience emotional attachment to clothes, keep pieces that no longer fit for when I lose weight, and accumulate items we rarely use. An effective technique is creating a capsule wardrobe, a limited set of pieces that combine with each other and meet your actual needs. Another fascinating aspect of the Japanese approach is the appreciation of the seasons. This is reflected in the decoration, which changes subtly to celebrate each season. Instead of accumulating decorations for all holidays and occasions, consider having a few versatile elements that can be adapted. A vase that receives seasonal flowers, a small area where you can highlight seasonal objects. The transformation of a space goes beyond removing objects. It also involves considering the flow of movement, air circulation, acoustics, and the energy of the environment. Observe how you move around the house. Are there obstacles? Congested areas? Rearranging furniture to create more fluid paths can completely transform how you experience the space. The relationship between the interior and the exterior is also valued in Japanese aesthetics. If possible, create visual connections with nature, a small plant, a view of the garden, or even an image of a natural landscape can bring serenity to the environment. Plants in particular not only purify the air but also add life and movement to the space without creating visual clutter. As your space transforms, you may notice subtle changes in your emotional state. Many people report feeling less anxiety, better concentration, and more creativity in simplified environments. This is no coincidence. Our external environment and our internal state are deeply connected. When we organize our spaces, we are in a way organizing our minds. Each conscious decision about what to keep and what to release helps us clarify what we truly value. Each clean surface creates mental space for new ideas and possibilities. Maintaining an organized space doesn't have to be a chore. With fewer things and simple systems established, cleaning and organization become almost automatic. 5 minutes of daily tidying prevents hours of deep cleaning in the future. An often overlooked aspect of organization is sound. Traditional Japanese environments value silence and soft, natural sounds. Consider how noise affects your experience of the space. Perhaps heavier curtains to muffle street sounds, rugs to reduce reverberation, or even a small water fountain to mask unpleasant noises with tranquilizing sounds. Smell also profoundly influences our experience of an environment. Subtle, natural aromas, a light incense, fresh flowers, essential oils can transform a space. Avoid intense artificial fragrances that can overwhelm the senses. Artificial lighting deserves special attention. Strong, direct lights create stressful environments, while indirect and layered lighting creates a welcoming atmosphere. Consider different light sources for different times and activities, favoring warmer tones, especially at night. As we move forward on this journey, it's important to remember that this process has no end. It's a continuous practice, a way of being present and conscious in relation to your space and the things that fill it. Each new season, each life change, brings the opportunity to reevaluate and refine. The true transformation happens when this approach becomes a habit, a second nature. When we naturally pause before making a purchase, when we instinctively put things away after using them, when we feel discomfort in cluttered spaces, in these moments, we know that we have deeply integrated the principles of simplicity. Simplifying isn't about living with less than we need, but rather recognizing what we truly need and deeply valuing those things. It's about quality over quantity, intention over accumulation, and presence over distraction. The benefits of this transformation extend far beyond aesthetics. People who have simplified their environments often report saving money by buying less, saving time by searching less for lost items and cleaning more efficiently, and experiencing more harmonious relationships with fewer conflicts over clutter and cleaning. As you advance on this journey, share your experiences with others, not to convert them to simplicity, but to inspire them with the benefits you've found. Often, seeing the transformation in the life of someone close is the most powerful catalyst for change. Remember that this approach isn't about deprivation or rigidity. It's about creating space for what truly matters. It's about removing the excess so that the essential can shine. It's about creating an environment that nurtures not only your body but your mind and spirit. When we look at a space transformed by simplicity, what we see isn't absence, but presence. We see intention in every object kept, purpose in every arrangement, and care in every detail. This conscious presence is perhaps the greatest gift we can give ourselves in an increasingly fast-paced and overwhelming world. The true beauty of this approach is that it's available to everyone, regardless of the size of their home or their budget. It doesn't require special purchases or expensive renovations. On the contrary, it invites us to work with what we already have, only in a more conscious and intentional way. As you transform your physical spaces, allow yourself to observe how this transformation echoes in other aspects of your life. External clarity often catalyzes internal clarity, paving the way for deeper and more meaningful changes. And so, step by step, surface by surface, decision by decision, we transform not only our environments, but our relationship with the material world and, by extension, with ourselves. This is the true promise of Japanese-inspired simplicity, not just beautiful spaces, but a fuller, more conscious and present life. Share this blessed video so that it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your search. Thank you and God bless you all. See you later.